Hey guys, you're in a nutshell with me, Ina. Naku, ang pag-uusapan natin in this episode, itong sinasabi ng Immigration Minister ni Mark Miller na pinag-aaralan niya ang pagtanggal ng 50 points that come with having a job under LAMIA. Okay, mga temporary foreign workers natin na nasa ilalim ng isang LAMIA. Naku, teka nga, iurong ko yung ano ko. Okay, kapag nag-apply doon ng PR, maaaring wala na yung 50 points with, ano ba yung paulit-ulit ako, with LAMIA. Nako, napakalaking bagay po niya ng 50 points sa mga panahon ngayon kung kailan very tight ang competition, di ba? To be drawn to be a PR. Anyway, sige, yan at iba pa ang pag-uusapan natin kasama. Ayan, si Dayanara in Puerto Bantigue. Thank you, Dayanara, again for being here.
Thank you, Miss Ina. This should be rather quicker compared to our other conversation.
Oo nga. Ano ba yung pasensya na kayo, guys? Ano, parang paulit-ulit ako dun sa intro ko. Ang dami ko kasing tech problems dito bago kami nag-record. But anyway, okay, Dayanara, nakita ko, no? Guys, just to be clear, hindi pa to ini-implement. Diba? There are reports lang quoting Immigration Minister Mark Miller saying na he is seriously considering removing yung 50 points po dyan sa LAMIA because of the abuses na nangyayari po dyan. Ano ba yung abuses na yan? Una sa lahat, Dayanara. Ano yung specific na kinagagalit ba ng IRCC?
Opo, because ito naman ay noon pa naman ito issue. Pero yung LMIA po kasi ay nagagamit at nabebenta on sa black market at sa gray market for obscene amounts of money. Doon sa article sa Toronto Star, ang na-quote ni Minister Miller is about $70,000, which is one of the highest I have seen. With clients or with clients, ang naririnig ko sa kanila na ino-offer sa kanila is lowest I have heard is around $12,000 and the highest I have heard is around $45,000. So what happens po kasi is kaya lumalaki ng ganun. Miss Ina is nagpapasa-pasa siya. So kung itong immigration consultant na to or agency na ito ay meron silang set amount, merong parang agent na maghahanap ng mga taong willing magbayad, so meron silang commission, and then kung meron silang friend, may commission pa yon, yung isa pang friend, may commission pa yon, so parang nagpapatong-patong yung commission kaya siya lumalaki ng sobra.
Oo.
So, yun ang nagiging problem na nagagamit yung LMIA for fraud na hindi naman pala totoo na parang naghanap itong taong ito or yung employer na ito ng worker, parang ang nangyari pala is binayaran siya para i-hire itong worker na ito. So parang yung sahod na binibigay niya dun sa worker, in a way, bumabalik din pala sa kanya. Kasi nagbabayad yung worker ng malaki. So, that is one thing na iniiwasan nila. Plus, Ms. Ina, the reality is, kapag nakapag-apply ng LMIA specifically for permanent residency, malaki po kasi yung points na binibigay nun, 50 points.
Oo, 50 points pala.
50 points. I know people na talagang, yun ang dahilan kaya sila na-invite for PR. Yung 50 points na yun. Kasi if your score is in the 480s, and then nadagdagan ka ng 50 points, naging 530, that is, sometimes enough to get you the invitation sa Express. And yung 50 points na yun ang dahilan, kaya nagkakaroon sila ng invitation. Kaya yung LMIA is nagiging equal of value to PR. In a way, LMIA equates PR, which is why nagkakaroon siya ng napakalaking value. Nakapatong sa kanya on it, which can reach up to $70,000 according to...
Grabe naman yung 70, no? Although before we recorded, sabi ko kay Dayanara, ako hinihintay ko, paano kaya i-implement ito? Kasi yung binabanggit ni Dayanara, ito na yung matagal natin pinag-uusapan na LAMIA for sale, di ba? Yes. Binibenta, binibili yung LAMIA. Ang tanong ko nga kay Dayanara, no? In the case of the 70,000, my gosh, talagang, alam mo yon, napaka-greedy, alam mo yon, it's really
senseless.
It's senseless. Ngayon, I'm wondering, Dayanara, okay, una sa lahat, could this impact kaya those who paid for their LAMIA and are already here at hindi pa nag-a-apply ng PR? Halimbawa, nagbayad sila ng 15,000. Ayan, maraming ganyan. 15, 20,000. And they're not complaining about it. Kumbaga, they paid for it through an agent or directly sa employer. Pagdating nila dito, existing naman yung trabaho. Yeah, yung mga nakaganyang sitwasyon, and what would you advise them? Should they worry?
Well, usually naman po, Ms. Ina, pag nag-implement ang IRCC ng batas, it's always moving forward, never going back.
Okay.
So parang ang akin dyan, yung mga nakakuha na, yung mga nabiktima na, kung yun man ang tingin nila sa kanilang sarili or hindi, dahil yung iba hindi naman po talaga magsusumbong, Ms. Ina, kasi kung magsusumbong sila, mawawalan din sila. Mawawalan yung employer, mawawalan din sila. So, for us, especially for us Filipinos, meron tayong kahit papaano takot / respect towards authority in a way na prevents us from complaining or prevents us from, sometimes protecting ourselves in a way. Meron tayong ganun meron tayong ganung tendency, meron tayong ganung takot. So, tingin ko hindi sila maapektuhan yung mga nauna na. Ang maapektuhan nito is yung papunta pa lang doon in the future. Especially those na meron naman talagang legitimate LMIA, talagang yung hindi naman nagbayad, yung talagang ang skill nila is kailangan ng company, na talagang valid yung LMIA, valid yung points na makukuha nila, sila yung maapektuhan. And this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying to a lot of people when I do my post sa aking page. Few bad actors doing evil things, they affect us all. And they are actually the ones that put us in this situation. Diba? That put Canada's immigration in this situation. I mean, may fault ang federal government, may fault a little bit ang provincial government, pero it's mainly, these few people, hindi naman sila sobrang dami, parte lang sila ng numbers, pero yung nagagawa nila is nag-i-impact sa ating lahat. Kaya mahigpit na din ang Canada ngayon. Isa ito sa epekto, yung pagtatanggal ng points sa LMIA.
Oo. It's not that, wala naman tayong say kung yan ang gusto gawin ng federal. Oh my God, yung anak ko sumisigaw sa labas. Okay. Wala naman tayong magagawa talaga sa totoo lang if that's what the federal government wants to do.
Yes.
Diba? And yun nga lang yung sinasabi ni Dayanara, it's a little frustrating, diba? Dahil una sa lahat, sayang nga naman yung 50 points. Lalo na wala ka namang ginagawang masama. Hinire ka naman talaga. Isipin mo, sponsor ng, shinolder rather, lahat ng employer mo, lahat ng gastos.
Ganun ka nila gusto.
Oo, now because of all those who bought their way into the job offer, nadamay na rin itong mga mababait naman na wala namang ginagawa.
Wala namang pong ginagawa. Plus, hindi lang naman kasi ito, Ms. Ine, lalabas maraming mga special accommodations o maraming mga guidelines na magbabago para lang masawata yung mga ganitong fraudulent actions. Hindi ito, kasi syempre, hindi ganun kadali yung trabaho din ng federal government to catch, to persecute, to prevent. Hindi ganun kadali. So, sometimes it's much more manageable for them to just bring the hammer down and, scrap kung ano man yung meron.
Yung benepisyo nun, di ba? Na alam ng gobyerno na hinahabol ng mga workers. Yeah.
Parang what Minister Miller wants to do is to remove the value in the LMIA. So parang ang gusto niya, hindi na to magiging valuable. There's no value to an LMIA anymore because it's being used for fraud. So either they change it, magbabago sila ng documentation, magbabago sila ng system para ma-remove yung value niya, matanggal yung value niya para hindi na siya binibenta.
Correct. Ang sinasabi din ni Dayanara, imbis na maghanap ng paraan to track all those who sell it, ang hirap nga naman kasi gawin nun. Diba? Una sa lahat, patunayan mo, magkano mo binenta, sa mo dineposito yung pera, may ganung mga...
Hindi naman magsasalita, Ms. Ina, yung tao. Hindi siya magsasalita. Kasi matatakot siya para sa sarili niya. Matatakot siya mapauwi.
So, imbis na gawin nila yon, which is obviously a tough task, tanggalin na lang yung benepisyo that comes with it na hinahabol ng mga tao. Oh well, tignan natin kung matutuloy ito at kung kailan. Ang tanong ko din dyan, Dayanara, are many of our kababayan, so yung mga clients mo for example, dependent on the 50 points offered by Lamia, do many go through the temporary foreign worker apply sa TFW program because of that advantage, yung 50 points? And do you think dahil dito, mag-explore na lang ng ibang pathway at hindi na TFW?
Not many, Mas Ina. Not many.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, hindi naman po ganun kadami. Pero merong iilan na talagang yun lang yung pag-asa nila. I have clients na hindi sila, there was no way for them to get the invitation kung hindi sila nakakuha ng LMIA. Although, yung mga yun naman, most of them are, were able to get it legally. Pero, hindi naman po ganun kadami. Most people would still rely on provincial nomination.
Yeah.
Na hindi naman nagde-dependent sa LMIA. Yan. So, most of them would rely on provincial nomination or sometimes they would go through special programs like Atlantic Immigration Program. Ganyan po. Na hindi naman dependent sa LMIA.
Okay. So, sa mga mag-interpret sa balitang ito na, nako, pati mga TFW, nakalamiya, mahihirapan na kayo maging PR. Hindi yung totoo. That's not right.
Okay. There are other ways. For example, there's the Agri-Pilot system na tumatanggap ng mga naka-LMIA lang, mga naka-close work permit lang po. Although, wala namang point system sa Agri-Pilot na magdadagdag na parang kakailanganin mo yung LMIA with an offer to achieve it. Kumbaga, hindi naman po ganun. So, it's always better to consult or to know your PR pathways as soon as possible para hindi ka rin maparaning. Kasi syempre may mga iba, syempre mapaparaning, oh my God, wala na ba akong PR pathway, magbabago na ba ang lahat? Hindi naman. This is one change and it affects a certain group of people. But it's sad. It's still sad. Kasi there are people with real talent po na maapektuhan po talaga ng pagbabago na ito.
Okay. Again, don't panic. Okay? Don't panic when or if this actually materializes. Baka isipin nila, naku, hindi na ako mapi-PR. Hindi naman. There are still...
Don't panic unless you absolutely have to. Kasi kunyari, you already spoke to an immigration consultant and the consultant or a lawyer and the person tells you na, wala kang pag-asa ngayon, ha? Kailangan ayusin. Unless may nagsabi na talaga sa'yo ng mga professionals na wala kang pag-asa. So don't freak out. Do what you have to do to get proper information.
Bago po natin ipagpatuloy yung episode na yan, just a short commercial. This channel, ito pong in a nutshell, is open for collaboration, guys. If you're interested in creating content with me, please contact Talentado Creative Agency o yung Talentado CA. Sila po ang mag-handle ng mga collaborations for in a nutshell. And for content creators looking for someone to help boost your channels, whether here on YouTube, on Facebook, TikTok, i-consider nyo po ang Talentado Agency. Matutulungan po kayo, ito ng anak ko, matutulungan po kayo in networking. Ako personally, ang dami ko na agad natutulan sa kapwa Talentado talents na nakausap ko na. Ang dami mga tips on how to improve and boost my channel. So yeah, ito po ang contact information ng Talentado CA and I will also put it down in the description box if you're interested. Okay, back to episode. Okay. Ito yung isa sa mga examples ng reports, okay? Talking about this. Ontario to introduce legislation. Ay, iba pa pala to. Nakapaloob dito yung issue na pinag-uusapan namin.
Yes,
ni Dayanara. But there is another, plan na gagawin, to further tighten itong rules for those applying through the TFW program, Tama ba?
This is PR, so this is OINP.
Sorry. For the OINP pala. Okay, Ontario PNP.
Basically, program. Yes po.
Okay. I'll just go to that sentence na... Ayan. Ito yan. If passed, itong proposed legislation, the legislation will create new standards that immigration representatives, like Dayanara, must meet.
Yeah.
They will be required, itong si Dayanara, will be required to have a written contract with OINP applicants, provide applicants with proof of their registration or license to represent immigrants, and ensure applicants can access their own OINP file. Okay. Sige, explain mo, Dayanara. Ano ba ibig sabihin?
Kasi Mas Ina, this is one of the most common ways na nai-scam or naloloko ang mga aplikante. Number one is hindi naman lahat ay may kakilalang licensed professional or immigration professional. So, minsan hindi nila alam kung paano nila i-verify kung yung tao bang kausap nila ay lisensyado. That's number one.
Okay.
And then number two, yung iba ay hindi talaga intentionally ay hindi talaga nagpapapirma ng service agreement or retainer contract or anything like that because, a service agreement will protect both parties. Kapag meron ka ng kontrata, maaari kang maihabla or makasuhan kasi merong kontrata eh. Diba na malinaw doon yung pangalan, yung bayaran, kailan magbabayad, ilang percent, magkano, yung mga ganun. But at the end of the day, kung ikaw ay isang aplikante, gusto mo na meron ka nun.
Oo, parang may mahahabol ka kung sakaling
mahahabol ka.
Wrong.
Oo. And then yung pangatlo po is, yun din yung pangatlong senyales, kadalasan, Ms. Ina, na hindi legal. Yung representative, kung ayaw niyang ipakita sa'yo yung file mo.
Oh, that's very common Especially, parang ako mismo nag-a-apply pa. Maraming mga waiting, hindi ko alam asa na ako ng stage ng processing ng papers ko kasi hindi ko pa makontak yung tumutulong sa akin kasi nga yung tao na yun na kinuha nila, tumutulong sa kanila, ang may access lang dun sa kanilang file.
Yes.
Naggumawa lang naman ng sariling profile gamit yung pangalan ng applicant.
Yes. Kasi sa totoo lang, Ms. Ina, kaming mga representative po, may sarili kaming portal. For example, ako, gusto kong mag-apply ng isang aplikante for study permit. Meron kaming representative portal na ginagamit namin. And kung gusto kong mag-apply ng isang client for OINP, meron kaming representative portal na ginagamit. Gusto kong i-apply siya ng PR, meron din. So, meron kaming sarili naming portal. Pero, yung mga portal na ganyan, nagbibigay kami ng access sa mga kliyente namin para ma-check nila yung mga papeles nila. Or, in case yung portal ay hindi nag-a-allow ng ganun, ang ginagawa ko sa client ko ay, number one, meron kaming service agreement. Number two, meron kaming Google Drive, kung saan nandun lahat ng mga files na sinusulat ko, ginagawa ko para sa kanila. Pangatlo, hindi ako nag-upload ng form or any document na hindi nila nakita o hindi nila in-approve. Pang-apat, kapag ready na lahat, saka pa lang nila usually ako nako-complete yung bayad sa akin. Usually, ang nangyayari sa akin is 50% sa simula and then 50% kapag nakompleto ko na lahat ng files at satisfied sila doon po sa service na binigay ko. So, in a way, yung ganong klaseng practice, I would say, kaya ako siya ginagawa, is protective hindi lang sa akin, kung hindi pati din doon sa kliyente ko. Kasi naiintindihan ko na yung perang ibinabayad nila ay hindi naman ang galing lang sa kung saan. Diba? So, yung ina-expect nila na type of service ay dapat kaya kong i-provide. At kung ako yun, yung nasa posisyon nila, satisfied ba ako sa ginawa ko or hindi? Yun ang lagi kong komentayan kasi dyan. Yeah. Pero, at the end of the day, hindi lahat ng immigration professional ay ganun. So, it is up to you, the applicant, to protect yourself and to demand these steps na ginagawa po ng Ontario. So parang Ontario, ang gusto nilang gawin is make it official na these are the things you have to do now.
Okay. For now, it's nung binabasa ko yung article, paano kung DIY ka o wala kang agent? Will that apply to you? Or is it clear now? Ang sinabi ba yun? O baka naman i-require lahat na may agents? I don't think so naman. Ang hirap naman na walang DIY.
Mahirap naman po kung tatanggalin nila yung DIY.
Hindi naman siguro.
I don't think so. I don't think they're going to do it. Although, gaya po ng pinag-usapan natin kanina, DIY itself is being used and being abused. And hindi ako magtataka if one day gawin nila yun.
Uy, grabe naman. Totoo ba?
Hindi ako magtataka kasi a lot of ghost agents, they go behind the premise na DIY yung applicant. So, nakatago sila sa likod ng applicant. Ghost agent. Ghost consultants. A lot of people do that. And DIY can be abused. The process itself can be abused. Okay. So, dito po sa tanong ninyo kanina, I don't think OINP will parang persecute those who are doing DIY. Hindi naman po. It's just that, well, if you do DIY, you have to accept the risks that come with a DIY application. And, you know, sometimes incomplete applications, wrong document, mali yung sagot sa form, mali yung document. That happens with DIY applications. So a lot of people do choose. Pagdating sa PR, pinipili talaga nilang mag-consultant. Kung nag-DIY sila ng study permit or work permit application nila, pinipili naman talaga nila, Ms. Ina, na mag-consultant during their PR application. Pinag-iipunan talaga nila, which is good. But you have to choose your representative wisely, and you have to make sure that everything your representative does, document-wise, nakikita po ninyo, na-check ninyo, at meron kayong documentation na may detalye niya, sino siya, ano yung license niya, diba? Parang pareho kayong protektado.
Oo, I think there are some people, nasa isip nila may agent sila.
Opo.
Hindi nila alam na parang technically DIY yung kanilang
ginagawa nila. Opo.
Yung agent nila kuno. Diba?
So how do you know? How do you know na parang gino-ghost agent ka nung yung...
Oo, how do you know?
Consultant? How do you know? Number one, hindi sila lisensyado or wala silang maipakitang pangalan ng isang lisensyadong consultant or lawyer.
Okay.
That's number one. That's the first thing you have to ask.
Kasi pwedeng partner nila sa kanilang agency.
Yes, kaya sabihin nila, ay hindi, ano lang ako, agent lang ako, pero may partner kami na immigration consultant, si ganito. Yon. So, kailangan malaman po ninyo yung pangalan ng immigration consultant na kapartner nila. Kailangan ninyong ma-search. Meron po kaming portal na parang nandun po yung mga pangalan namin. Dapat nandun. Pangatlo, I think dapat mag-demand ka din na makausap mo yun eh. Sa totoo lang po, Ms. Ina. You have to demand to talk to the immigration professional directly. Because all my clients talk to me. They talk to me directly. They work with me. I have an assistant, but he does mainly clerical work. He doesn't see the documents that I see. My clients talk to me. When I answer emails, it's me. So you have to demand that too. As much as possible. Tapos, meron po kaming pinapapirmahan na tinatawag na use of representative form. Kapag wala po kayong pinirmahan na use of representative form, most likely, they're going to do a DIY/ghost agent application on you.
Yon. Okay. And I think also, this requirement, again, proposal pa lang po ito sa Ontario, hindi pa to sure, is also meant to prevent fake documents submitted sa PR application. Kasi isa yan sa, may nabasa rin akong article, I think isa yan sa mga fake work, fake parang job, job offer. Yung mga ganyan, pinipeke. Sa totoo lang, siguro naman yung mga kababayan natin, hindi masyado nabibiktima ng mga yan. Kasi yung ibang applicants, they knowingly submit fake job offers. Nako, hindi tayo yan. Hindi ako naniniwalang tayo yan, di ba?
Well, marami po sa atin ngayon na nagsasubmit ng fake work permit applications just to be put under maintained status. Maraming ganun.
Okay. Ibang topic. Ibang episode namin.
Pero, I wouldn't say, Ms. Ina, na tayong mga Pilipino ay hindi nabibiktima ng mga ganyan. Nabibiktima din tayo, Ms. Ina. Kaya lang, hindi na tayo, yung karamihan sa ating mga kababayan ay hindi na din nagsasalita. Kasi unang-una, shame, nakakahiya, naloko ka, na nawalan ka ng pera, ganyan, nakakahiya. Pangalawa, natatakot na mapauwi. Kasi natatakot silang banggain yung employer nila. Meron tayong ganong tendency kasi. So, nakakalungkot at nakakatakot na naghihigpit sila ng ganito ng paunti-unti. Na parang, in the end, yung ibang mga gumagawa ng hindi maganda, apektado lahat.
Correct.
Pati yung gumagawa ng tama naman.
Yeah. Okay, meron pa ba akong nakalimutan, Dayanara? Yung implied status, yung sinasabi ni Dayanara na marami nag-a-apply, taking advantage of being on implied status na sa panahon ngayon, medyo matagal-tagal, will buy them a lot of time.
Will buy them time, yes.
Yeah, that will be for another episode, okay? Not for this.
Kasi misrep yun, Ms. Ine. Ang risk doon is misrepresentation. So I think we have to sit down and discuss that separately.
Correct.
But it's really...
Not to say na lahat ng naka-implied status, hindi naman, oo. Meron actually mga
implied maintained status, a lot of them. And a lot of them send me emails na, Miss D, but wala pa, nasa na.
Correct.
Ganyan. So, it's really hard. And in a way, the maintained status is a protective measure, which, at the end of the day, parang itong LMIA can be removed if it is.
Correct. O, sige, abangan nyo yung episode na yan para sa mga naka-implied status din na inip na. Ano ba kayo nangyayari? Okay, anyway, we will end this episode here. As always, thank you, Dayanara. Her details. Ang dami pa rin nag-PPM sa akin, Dayanara, o minsan nag-i-email. Nasa ba yung contact daw ni Dayanara? Nandyan lang sa baba lagi sa description box. Okay? So, yeah. Thank you, Dayanara. I will see you guys
in the
next episode. Okay, bye!